Hello and welcome to Yoga for Cyclists and Runners and all the rest of y'all as well. Start in a seated position here, please. Come on down. You know, I was up at my mom's cabin, and maybe I said this the other day, but last week, but I learned something. I learned that I better knock on the refrigerator door because there might be a salad dressing. Okay, come on. Yeah, all right. Start seated. We are going to just work on our breath for a few moments, get our breath in through our nose, down into our belly. Inhale 2, exhale 4. Good. I don't have my glasses on. Good. All right. Right hand on top of your head. In fact, let's get both hands. Fingers together. Lean over to your right side. On the exhale, inhale back up. Lean over to the other side. Inhale up. Exhale, lean. Inhale up and exhale and lean. Inhale up. Right hand, left knee, left hand behind you. Inhale and rotate. Look behind you just gently with your neck, but mostly with your shoulders. You are just simply trying to rotate on the exhale your shoulders so you get a little bit of a spinal twist. When you inhale, try to bring your collarbones up high, like up towards the ceiling high. Good. All right, it's coming to the other side. Left hand, right knee, right hand behind you. And this is, we're going to be doing some of the same stuff in the practice today. Inhale, collarbones up. Exhale, rotate. And one more. Okay, good. Let's roll on to all fours and have hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And we'll do some cows and cats, just a few of them, and then we'll get into some bird dogs. So the cows, we're going to drop our belly on the inhale, lift up our head, and stick out your butt a little bit. And then on the exhale, into cat, arch your back, drop your head, tuck your hips in, and look at your toes between your knees. And then inhale into cow, and exhale into cat. So the key in doing these is to practice moving with your breath. So you might have a pretty short cow because you're breathing into your belly and then exhaling slowly into cat. And then one more cat, and then come to neutral. Bring your left hand forward, point it forward as best you can. Bring your right foot back with your right toes on the ground. Okay, you can stay here, or you can bring your right heel up into the air with your toes pointing down. And you can stay here, or you can bring your elbow in to your knee and do just a little bit of a kind of a curl, but it's meant to be slow because you are working on your balance in your core. And good. Come back neutral. Right hand forward, left toes back. Lift up your right heel or your left heel if you're ready. And then come in and do the crunches if you can. Otherwise, simply hold the pose and just work on your balance. And good. I'm not sure how many I did. That's 5, I think, maybe 6. Bring your hands up to the front of the mat. Come into a downward dog. So in downward dog, your tiptoes on the inhale, exhale, one heel down. Tiptoes on the other, exhale, other heel down. And then maybe try both heels down on the next exhale. Maybe try getting your collarbones a little bit closer to the mat. And then let's look up to the top of the mat. Walk your feet forward. And we'll come into a forward fold. Then inhale into a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then all the way up. And then we're going to go all the way back down to a forward fold again. Inhale into a half lift. And this time we're going to bring our hands to the mat. Walk your feet back into a plank. And we're just going to hold this here for a moment. And if you need to get down into an elbow plank, you can do so. Come back, exhale into a downward dog. All right, now we're going to lift up our right foot and bring it forward on the exhale, and we're going to come into a crescent lunge, and I'm going to move. And in crescent lunge, right foot is forward, left heel is coming down. Both feet are straight, and you are trying to have your feet roughly shoulder width apart, maybe a little bit wider so you have some balance. Bring your arms up if you can, otherwise have your hands at your waist. All right, so it takes me a couple moments to get into this because it's just, there's some challenges in my balance. All right, so right knee is over my right ankle, left leg is straight, and I'm pushing back on my left heel. The inhale is to have my torso straight up and down. The exhale is to try to reach, lean the torso backwards, maybe reach back with my hands. And I'm going to be feeling this all the way down on my right, on my left front, my left hip flexors, and the left quads. If you can look up, then do so. Hold this for just one more breath. Good. Now, throw your hands back down to the mat. Bring your right foot back and back into a downward dog. So usually we do that with a warrior one, but just doing something different. We're going to come back into those in a few moments, into that crescent lunge, and then we'll do some triangles with that. All right, now lift up your left leg, bring it up and forward into a crescent lunge on this side. And again, try to get your feet shoulder width-ish apart. weight is back on your back heel, like you're trying to with both feet facing forward, you're trying to get your back heel on the ground. And for some of you who have really loose Achilles and calf muscles, maybe you can already push it down, but I don't obviously come anywhere close. Good, that's it. Try to be as far forward with your left knee over your left ankle as possible. Even if it means you come up a little bit, that's fine. You should feel the strength work being in the front of your right leg and hip. And inhale and just let the air into your belly, and exhale, let it out. All right, now we're going to throw ourselves forward again. Bring your left foot back into a downward dog again. These are when downward dogs start to become our rest poses. We will inhale, look to the top of the mat, walk our feet forward into a forward fold. Inhale into a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. And this time, bring your hands together. Exhale your hands to heart center. And bring your hands to the side. Excellent. All right. Now what we're going to do is a little bit of balance posing. And we'll see how this goes. I may have to move my feet. So we'll start. Inhale, bring your right foot, bring it back into a crescent lunge again. All right, now your left heel is forward, so you should try to have your weight on your left heel and pushing back on your right. And what we'll do in a moment, as we are continuing to just move with your breathing, is to throw ourselves forward into a warrior three. So I'll give you some options here. And exhale back. All right, so now warrior three. I'm going to scooch back a little bit on my mat. Otherwise, I'll be into the bicycles. So you can leave your back foot on the ground if you need to. But you're going to tilt over, hinge at your hips, and reach forward with your hands. And if you can, bring your right leg up into the air. You can always use your toes as a balancer. So I'm just going to turn around so you can, this is about the most awkward warrior three you're ever going to see because I'm doing it. And again, the weight is on my left heel and my toes are kind of trying to be stabilizers. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to drop back into a crescent lunge, but quickly drop my back heel, rotate into a warrior two, but just very quickly. Check your left knee and roll it out so that's over your ankle. There you go, good. Inhale, straighten your front leg. Reach with your left hand. We're going to come into a triangle. So in triangle, you can do a lot with your left hand. You can put it on your shin if that helps. The goal is to be bringing it down to the mat. You can also tuck your left elbow into your left knee. So inhale, drop your right shoulder, and exhale, open it up as best you can. You can have your hand down, whatever you need to, but it's your shoulder that's opening up so that the goal is that you have your right shoulder stacked on top of your left. We're going to do a Few breaths of these. So if you cannot breathe into your belly, you're going too hard. Two more breaths here. Good. All right, now roll up slowly. Have your left foot pointing forward. Come into a wide stance, forward fold. You can bring your hands to the floor. You can have your hands on your knees, on your shins, whatever works. But this should be a rest where your torso is simply kind of hanging out here. If you are able to keep your knees straight but not locked out, you don't want to have them locked out, but straight. And if you can hinge at your hips and kind of come back so that your collarbones are coming closer to the plane of your knees. But try to keep your back sort of flat so that you feel this more in your hamstrings and in your glutes. All right, now roll yourself up and now have your, is this right? Your right foot, forward in the crescent lunge. All right, so again, inhale, straight up and down, exhale, reach back, let your torso come back. All right, now we're gonna jump into the warrior three again. So I'm gonna tilt, put the weight now on my right foot. I don't know, we'll see how the balance goes on this side. Tilt over, hinge. So my left toe is still on the ground. Here we go. So one of the ways to keep you wanna try to keep your hips not rolled up, but closed. Sometimes it's helpful to kind of tuck in your toes to the inside. That kind of helps to rotate your hips a little bit. Finding a spot on the floor helps as well. Letting your toes be your stabilizers. Okay, one more breath. And drop your back foot into a crescent lunge. All right, now inhale, drop your back heel, come into the warrior two. And again, check your front knee. That's it, right there, good. All right, inhale, straighten your front leg, reach with your right hand, cartwheel your hands back down into a triangle. So the triangle and the side angle, which we do often, especially as part of the warrior sequence, you're the same kind of pose. The only difference is your front leg, whether you are bending it or keeping it straight. So we're doing the same process. Try to have your shoulder and your hand pointing straight up into the air so that your shoulder joint isn't back, but it's straight up, even if you've got to drop your hand a little bit. Because the goal is to have your hands at 180 degrees and your shoulders on top of each other. You know, probably the next year, I might actually be able to get my hand on the mat. We will see. Inhale into your belly, Exhale through your nose slowly. There you go. 3 more breaths. Good. All right. And then slowly roll your right foot forward. We'll come into the wide stance, forward fold again. This time, if you choose, with your back still reasonably flat, you can walk your fingers over to your left foot, get a little bit different pull in your left hamstrings. Inhale and relax. On the exhale, good. Now walk your fingers over to the right. Same thing. All right, good. Now, let's not even try to be graceful and just come into a seated position with your legs extended. So sometimes when I'm doing a seated forward fold, it gets a little uncomfortable on my back of my knees. So I often will put my fists underneath here or my hands. Sometimes blocks help. It's really up to you. But what you want to try to do is what we do in butterflies, is keeping a straight back and just hinging forward. So we're not trying to curl up so we can touch our toes. You're simply trying to hinge at your hips. And we're not going to do a lot of this because we don't usually need a lot of stretching in our lower back. It feels good, but it doesn't necessarily help us, especially if you have lower back issues. All right, good. Bring your right foot up into the air. No, I'm sorry, your right knee into the air, your foot on the ground, and then cross it over your left. All right, so, yep, that's it. So you've got some options. What we're going to do is take your right hand and put it behind you. And with your left, you can wrap it around your knee. You can have your elbow inside of your knee. We're just going to be doing rotations and twisting. So it's kind of whatever works for you. The goal, again, like we usually do, is to keep a relatively straight back so that we're not all hunched over. But I mean, obviously in this position, like completely straight back is not really feasible. So we're going to inhale and then rotate our shoulders. And inhale, come back, and exhale, rotate your shoulders. I think I misspoke a second ago, but inhale and then rotate your shoulders on the exhale. And again, you don't want to use your elbow to force the twist because that just puts your body under stress and it's not going to do what you're asking it to do. But just a gentle rotation. That's it. One more. All right, now drop your knee. And again, like we were doing earlier, just lean forward a little bit with your hips. And again, you can put your left hand underneath your left knee if that's helpful. Typically, you're going to end up feeling this in your left hamstrings, and that's the goal of this particular move. We won't do this for long because we, again, want to get at our hips in a moment. All right, switch legs. Extend your right leg, left foot over on the outside of your right knee, left hand behind you. All right. And again, I'm going to flip around. What are we doing here? Right. There we go. So I'm going to get my right elbow in here and rotate on the exhale. Sometimes it's really tempting to try to twist hard enough to crack out your back. Please don't do that. I do it sometimes it's unconsciously, but just try to twist your shoulders. And it's naturally going to happen. You're naturally going to get the cracks. But just be gentle. One more. All right, good. We're going to roll back onto our backs. And with your knees up in the air, bring your right knee up, cross over your right ankle onto your left knee. Yep. Now you've got a couple of options here. The goal is to be bringing your right knee into your left shoulder so that you're working on opening up your right hip joint. So one way is to grab a hold of your right knee and right ankle with your hands and simply pulling your knee into your shoulder, your opposite armpit, in this case, my left armpit. Another option is to shoot your hands through, grab a hold of your left shin and pull forward. That tends to get your right knee into your right shoulder, which is okay, but not quite as effective. So your goal, you figure out where you want to feel this in your right glute, but really in where the hip joint works. That's the goal here, getting at the back of your hip. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you get it right. You're getting into that deep glute muscle back here. That's what we're trying to get at. So then same inhale and relax. Exhale and pull forward. So these are figure fours. And it's kind of like an easier way of getting at a pigeon pose. It's like on your back as opposed to lying on your belly. And they're a little easier, but they're a little harder to get into. I mean, to get effective. All right, let's release that. Bring your left leg up. Same deal, left ankle onto your right knee. And then bring your left knee into your right armpit. Now, one thing I just did subconsciously is to grab my ankle and try to pull my ankle. And it's really, you're not trying to pull your ankle. You're simply, because you don't want to torque on your knee, you're really just working on the angle of trying to get at the hip joint. And we'll get at it with the twist in a moment as well. And I'm not sure why I always have my head up doing these. It's not really intentional. It seems like I can get a little bit deeper. Do one more breath. All right, good. Release that. Cross your right knee over your left. Have your hands out to the side and let your knees drop over to the left. I'm sorry, to the right. Right knee is on top of your left, in case I misspoke. And you're looking out over your left shoulder, and you're going to feel this now in a little bit deeper into your left hip, almost in your hip flexors, maybe in the back. Inhale up. And again, you can always adjust your left foot to figure out if there's some place that is better for you in terms of stretching out your left hip. Let's do one more. Excellent. All right, roll to the other side. Left knee on top of your right. And now we're going to drop the knees over to our left and look over to our right. And each side is going to feel different. So your goal is still to try to open up something in your right hip now. Just going to adjust my right foot a little bit. All right. Bring your knees down, take your hands, grab a hold of your knees, pull them into your armpits just a little bit or towards your armpits. You can lift up your head, kind of create a little bit of a rolling back and forth. And then roll up to a seated position. And in a seated position, however your legs happen to be, let's twist, bring your left hand behind you, bring your right on your knee, and just see how this feels now, if there's any difference between the beginning of class and now the end. Excuse me. Good. Go to the other side, left hand on your right knee, right hand behind you. And the last one. All right. Bring your hands to your side. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Bring your hands together. Exhale down to heart center. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, scoop up the good energy, and then exhale and bring it back down into yourself. And one more time, inhale up. Exhale down. Thank you for your presence this evening. I appreciate your work and effort and attention. Namaste. Thanks for joining us tonight on simpleendurancecoaching.com. I hope you had a good practice. If you want to know more about coaching or yoga or strength training, please go to the website and let's talk. Virtual coffee. Take care.